just so we have an official record. Yeah, so with the grant process, they just came out with the dates for this second infrastructure grant, which I believe they start taking applications on November 24th, something along those lines. And then they're going to close it up on the end of January. I think it's the 31st. And no idea what the competition is going to be like, but this is going to be the first application that they've used the 50-10 definition as unserved people, which is pretty exciting because they're going to have to look at completely new ways to evaluate that, because based on just speed test data that we've gotten, just having cable isn't enough to say that you've got 50/10. So I think they're
well, if the cable companies are smart, they'll just turn up the
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean they're squeezing as much as they can out of it. So
I think that's kind of what happened with the state, that they tried to make the definition 100/100 for unserved, and then there was a lot of lobbying going on.
Well, because that doesn't serve. I mean, that makes it easy for people like Tidewater, but it makes it almost impossible for the cable companies.
Yep. So let's see, give you guys a little update. I just did all of Standpipe Road and Back Meadow Road, just handing out flyers to people to take the speed test and telling them we're going to be out doing a survey around election day that will be available online. So right now we've actually got 137 different test locations in Damariscotta, which was, I think, like 29 when I started doing this. So we've gotten well over 100 now. And the 10% marker that the main broadband coalition was looking for was 10% at 114. So we've got 12% now.
Good.
So that's pretty cool. And if you check out the upload section of the results there, we've got like 40% of people have, 57% have an upload speed below 10 megabits, which is really saying something.
What page you on there, Evan?
Oh, no, this is online, Larry.
Oh,
this is on main broadband coalition.org, and then you can hit view results and select Damariscotta. So they've got it by upload and download speeds and percentage breakdown. So yeah, they've got 54% that have a upload speed below 10 megabits, and then they've got 3.6% of people that say they have no service at all.
I'm looking at the survey from, was this the Newcastle survey?
This was the Newcastle survey.
I am horrified at the people who have DSL.
The amount of people?
Well, the amount and the performance. It's it's catastrophically low.
It's not good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, DSL is horrible anyways, but I'm still amazed at how many people actually have DSL. Why Tidewater hasn't done, fiber to the neighborhood and just pushed out fiber to that last little bit of copper. I mean, they did something like that, I think, on Shamrock Lane.
Yeah, I think they're doing it. I don't know if they have it done yet.
Because
I'm not sure with Tidewater whether they don't have the manpower or they're picking the low fruit first. I think it's a tendency of both, but
yeah,
I think the low fruit's always going to win out where there's density.
Yeah, definitely.
And houses,
these are companies definitely looking to make a profit first.
Yeah.
Before losing any money. So I'm just pulling up the survey just so we can go over it. Any chance either of you guys have time on election day to staff a table at this, or are you pretty busy that day?
That's Tuesday, I think, isn't it?
Yep.
The 9th, the 10th, or something like that.
I think it's the 2nd.
Oh, okay. Though I know I'm out.
I'm not sure.
The station is just too crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have a sense of that at the moment, but
got you.
We might do some interviews or something for the station there, and then we could talk about people coming out of the state, out of voting and whatnot, and get some interview and get some ideas, and whatnot. Talk to us a little bit about, maybe that'd be a good way to do a little publicity for this whole broadband thing. Is if we could do a show on, what people are thinking.
That would definitely, I think, be beneficial. Because a lot of people don't know. A lot of people don't know that they have cable. They don't know that they have DSL. Most people don't even know what they have.
Right.
Unfortunately.
Well, if you do a speed test, you can pretty much figure out what they have.
Yep. We can figure out really quickly.
And you can see, I mean, all the technologies make it really clear.
Okay. So yeah, if you guys do look at your calendar and you do have time, I'm going to staff a table for doing the survey and talking about whatever else there is to talk about with people from like whenever the polls open, 8 or before 8 until about 2 in the afternoon, and then I'll have to take off. So we'll see if anybody else.
Why don't
willing
we
to run
think
the
about
booth.
some questions that we can ask people that what they would like to see that we could get on the broadcast channel, get on the LCTV network, as far as, what do we think, what are some questions that we should be asking people about broadband? Obviously,
Absolutely.
what would they like to see for broadband?
I think that's a good start. As far as looking at what Newcastle's got for a survey, I think we'll start there, and then we can kind of put in a general comment area, like you just said, to kind of talk about what needs to be done. I can kind of imagine what the majority of people are going to say, that their bill's too high and the internet's too slow.
Yeah,
For the
but
most-
if that's what they have to say, then
That would be the
Perfect.
general consensus, I'm sure.
Yep. So
well, and
let's
most people don't know how to answer that question because they don't know anything about it. So
no. And I've run into quite a lot of people that have pretty slow service, but they're not trying to do too much with it. But that's because they don't.
Yeah, it's a chicken egg thing. Yeah.
Right. You have to have the service before you're going to use it.
Right.
So you can't use it if you don't have it. All right. So we'll definitely ask people if they, going down through the list here on the Newcastle application, do you have service? Perfectly good question. If no, I think we can keep that section in there. And then ask them if they know what type of service they have, whether it's DSL, cable, fiber optic. I think that's pretty good.
Who their provider is.
Yep. I think with this provider section, we'll just put in Charter /Spectrum so people don't get confused. And then Tidewater, and then if there's any Dish, HughesNet, or other Dish people, we can add a section for that.
And then if they're willing to tell us how much, what are they paying?
Right. Yep. And that's the next
so
question. And I'm kind of looking at it being like, I feel like most people don't know what it is when they break it down, when they have the bundle.
Well, this is a
good way to do it.
Yeah. People don't really know what they're paying for.
Right. They're not very, very truthful, but I think we can pretty much go through like that. I don't know. I think they took these speed test numbers from the data they got on the website. I'm just going to have to guess. And then when we get down to this, I think the work, if you work from home, and then students at home, I think is really good data to have. And maybe we can go into more depth on that portion as well. Do you guys have any ideas toward like work from home stuff, or maybe a self-employed versus you're working from home for a company type of thing? Or
well, if they don't work from home, is it because they have slow internet? If they had faster internet, would you be? Would that be an option?
I'll write that down.
Just a thought.
Let's clarify that work from home. I think
Sure.
when you first say to somebody, do you work from home on the internet, and I think first thing comes to mind to me is somebody's full-time 40-hour-a-week job in an office. Now they're working at their office at their house or whatever. But I think an awful lot of people still go to the office, but like my wife and I both, we do our work also on the weekends at home or at night. We quite often will go on and log on, my wife more than me, but go on and be doing something else as part of our job that she can do at home, or I can do at home, rather than, so we're not actually, I mean, we could go back to the office if we wanted to and do it, or I can anyway, she can't, but I think an awful lot of people do continue their daily job at home, finishing up a project or getting ready for the next day
or working from home one day a week.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to dig. I agree with you, Larry. I think it's important to dig into that and see.
So it's not exclusively I'm
Sure.
working from home.
Right.
It's a
Or is it a
combination,
hybrid?
hybrid home office combination.
I mean, maybe the question is, do you do any work from home using the internet? And if so, how much?
Yeah, something like that. But I would keep that cognizant as a question that we ask people maybe coming out of the voters box.
Yeah.
That's a good option. And then as
And
far
if not,
as,
why not? Is it
Right.
because I don't need to? Is because I can't because my service is too slow, et cetera. So yeah, the answer to that might simply be, well, I don't have, my work doesn't use internet or whatever. So yeah.
right.
But I think that's probably the best way to do it. Do you do any work from home over the internet? If so, how much? If not, why?
And then the next section being students. And
I think that's probably a more important question.
I would agree.
Yep. Definitely going forward.
Yeah.
I think that they've got a good way of picking that apart, and that kind of leads into.
I found it interesting on that Newcastle one that grades pre-K through 8 used it more than grades 9 through 12. That just high school kids are on the internet constantly.
I think it might be just representative of that. They've got there's more of an age range from the K to 8th grade,
right,
rather than the 4-year age range for the students.
And maybe that's the reason why a college student, I couldn't believe a college student would be on the internet constantly.
Right. Yeah. And I think maybe they're just not in that household in
Right.
Newcastle.
Right.
They might have an apartment in
Strange.
Portland or in Orono or out of state somewhere. So that's good. We can definitely extrapolate on that data, and maybe, I don't know if we need to ask any question on what school system is, or if they're Lincoln Academy or Great Salt Bay or another school or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, can't hurt to ask what schools are represented.
Yeah, or maybe an opinion question on how did your internet service negatively impact your student during the pandemic type of thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's a possibility. I don't want to ask, I don't want to ask 30 questions.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to, when you get down to the past just the cost and what do you have and where and what street do you live on type of stuff. And that gets us to that next page where it's just kind of what would you do if you had better service, or how do you usually use your internet? So I think we can probably bundle a lot of the entertainment and leisure stuff into one category. So like social media, Netflix, that type of stuff. And then kind of separating work from leisure uses, I think. Can probably just boil that down into 1 or 2 questions. And then the other comment, let's see. And I think it's really important to give like a easy barometer with have a satisfaction question. And I was just thinking, are you satisfied with your internet? And it's either yes, it's fine, no, it's terrible, or meh, I'm not excited either way. But
I found that Newcastle one interesting. It's almost a 50-50 split.
Right.
It's not a great majority likes one over the other.
Right. And it's I think it would be more interesting to see how many people would say yes if there was just I'd like to see better. Better than just a yes or no.
Of course, the other side of it, if you've never used good internet, you don't know what good internet is.
Exactly. You don't know what HD is once you've just been on standard def and then 4K and everything else.
Mm-hmm. But if all you're doing is email, you don't need that.
You don't exactly.
So,
and I've met so many people doing house calls that don't need too much, but there's plenty. There's just as many people that want the fastest thing in town.
Yeah.
So then, yeah, we'll add any other, I think we can do that. I think pretty much the only part we could take from their survey is we'll extrapolate more on the student stuff and the work from home and kind of get a feeling for if people are full-time from work versus kind of part-time hybrid stuff. Would they work more if they had better internet?
Right.
We can root out and make this section a lot smaller on different uses. And then we'll definitely have the other comments area or
Yep.
what, please tell us why you are not satisfied or not satisfied with
Right.
your internet. And then we might have a few surprises in there, which looks like they've got plenty of other questions. And I think once you get down to page, let's see, it's probably a good idea to, as far as education and digital and equity, we should probably add in anything about classes and technology education to see if people are, if there's a group that are interested in the town that would like to know how to use more.
Well, if, I mean,
technology devices.
yeah, I see that question, but then what do you do with that? How do you, let's say
Well,
someone
there's a lot
says,
of, I think there's a lot of programs that are available through either the library or I don't know if the YMCA or adult education have different things. They usually have a computer 101 type of stuff to check emails, do basic.
okay, that's good. I
functions.
didn't, because I don't know what's available, so.
Right. If you, if you're not looking for it, you're
Right.
never gonna know. And then another thing I was going to mention, I don't think I'll put it on the survey, is I'll be advertising for the emergency broadband benefit.
What is that? I've heard of it, but I don't know exactly what it is.
Sure. So it's through, they have the Lifeline process, which is similar. And I think if you qualify for Lifeline, you get like $10 a month off your bill.
Okay.
But with the emergency broadband benefit from COVID, you qualify if you participate in a bunch of different programs or if you meet an income level. So let me pull that up really quickly because a lot of people don't know about it and a lot more people qualify than they realize. So anybody that I don't know if Maine has switched over yet to giving all the kids free lunch, but if you qualified for free or reduced lunch, then you qualified for the emergency broadband benefit.
And what is that? What is the benefit?
It's $50 a month.
Wow.
I'll put it in the.
You mean if somebody qualifies for the free school lunch? Hi, Toby. Then you get $50 off your broadband as well?
Correct. Wow. So I'll read you the eligibility here. Has an income that is, and I put it in the chat, has an income that is at or below 135% of the federal poverty guidelines or participates in certain assistance programs such as SNAP, Medicaid, or Lifeline, which is the other one I just mentioned.
Interesting.
Then we've got a free or reduced lunch program that makes you eligible for your household eligible for the, if anybody in your household received a Pell Grant, which is any college student, basically, almost everybody gets a Pell Grant, they can get the emergency broadband benefit. If you experience a substantial loss of income due to job loss since February 29th, 2020, and your household income in 2020 is at or below 99,000, which is a vast majority of most people, then you qualify. And then they've got a few other low income ways of doing it. So I've signed my mom up for it through Consolidated, and it took, I think they announced the program in June, and then we just got, the companies weren't ready for it. So they've just really started processing everybody that could apply. And by the time they started processing, the applications were expired. So you had to reapply. But
how long does it last?
Until the fund runs out. So there's no, and there's a lot of people that it's not necessarily the easiest thing, obviously, to apply for and to get, but once you get there, it's definitely an option to help people out and get them started, because that's a huge barrier for a lot of people, is just they don't want to pay anymore because it's too expensive. So just another aspect of getting people involved and getting their services figured out. So I'm going to be
$50 a month is not pocket change. Yeah.
It's could be a few days worth of groceries for sure.
Yeah.
So they have a lot of outreach literature and paperwork. So I'm going to print off a bit of that to have at the polls, and maybe that's something that you guys would be interested in putting on the cable station. I'm not sure.
Yeah, we might put it on our social media.
I'll find the toolkit for that they've used.
Interesting.
So that pretty much takes care of what we had for the survey thing. I don't want to, just because there's only 2 of you guys here, I don't want to figure out who's going to be the chair. The chair position would just be super nominal anyway. I'm doing like most of the legwork for this, so there's really not too much to worry about.
Well, I'll nominate you to be the chair, Evan. You're doing a good job.
I don't know if I can be the chair, Larry, because I'm technically a paid staffer.
I don't care.
Okay.
Yeah,
we will take you.
Don't bother me and Jeff.
We will take your nomination under consideration. I'll run it by the
Jeff. Jeff's waved his hand. He's seconded the motion. So I don't see anybody else. I don't see anybody else. You know, any discussion? Yeah, we just discussed it. So Evan's the chair.
Lovely.
We just need a quorum, and then we're good.
I'll see how it goes later this week. The other thing is, I just want to get your guys feeling about this real quick, and then at a different time when we have more people. One of the
wait a minute. Somebody out there? Oh, okay. Just I've got to leave just for a second, guys.
Yep. Come on back now. You're here.
No, he's still on the call, so that's a good sign.
That's good.
All right.
And I'll try and find, while he's doing that, I'll see if they have the new Connect Main grant application out to see if they've changed any of the language. I think in the case with Bristol and Bremen, I think Tidewater wrote the provider grant, and I think probably they had the committees also look them over and put in any input. And basically anything in between then, I'm just trying to throw anything at the wall that could help the process. So if the speed tests help, if the surveys, the surveys are kind of a prereq to the whole thing, as I've talked to Mary Ellen at Lincoln County Planning.
Well, you said that we needed 10% of the population.
That's the goal for the Main Broadband Coalition. I don't know if that number is based on much, but at least we met it either way.
Good. Yeah.
I'm going to keep on at least getting people to take it. I've got a few neighborhoods that I know only have cable as an option.
Right.
So there's only a couple roads that I'm going to go out and do. Newcastle actually got 17% participation, which is pretty impressive because they've
pretty
got
spread out. Yeah.
I'm going to have to leave. My cleaners are here, and we have to vacate when the cleaners are here. I didn't know they were coming this afternoon. So
Sounds good.
Anything, Jeff can bring me up to speed on anything else.
Cool.
I think we're pretty close to done.
Yep.
Right.
I'll run a couple of other things to Jeff, and then he'll get back to you.
Great. Thanks, Evan. Have a great weekend, guys.
Yeah, you too, Larry. So the big thing with the with Connect Main is basically you have to have community support basically through the committee for 3 questions that they want to know. And it's, do you want to have universal service, or do you want to close in pockets of neighborhoods? And I think our mission should be universal access. And then the second would be, do you want it to be a fiber or a future proof, I think is the term that they use. So 100 over 100, which is fiber. Future proof, universal, and then the third question would be municipal owned or not. And I think it's pretty well established that we're not interested in that.
Well, I would like this to. The problem with this whole thing is it's all patchwork. Every town's doing.
Yep.
And this should be a statewide thing.
Yep.
Make it. Let's have one. Let's treat it like a utility.
I don't disagree with you at all.
That would completely change this approach and make it, the electric company is the electric company. The water company is the water company. Everybody needs water. Everybody needs internet.
I don't disagree with you.
Yeah.
So those are the big 3 those are the big 3 questions that we just have to vote on and have a statement of for the grant process as like a public record.
Well, and with the future proof thing, I don't care what the technology is, as long as it's future proof.
Right.
Maybe cable can come up and meet that. you know,
Sure.
my guess is cable has not done any more than they've done because they haven't had to.
Yep. I think that's
I mean, I
think
hate
that's a large part of it.
cable as an internet medium anyways, because it's a broadcast medium. It's not a two-way medium.
Sure.
It's just not built that way. But if you know, Spectrum decides to put fiber in, then poof.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that will end up being great either way, because
Yes.
if everybody has a fiber option, then almost everybody will have a cable option, and they'll have great competition.
Exactly.
And hopefully we'll benefit.
But yeah, but you know, future proof is not necessarily fiber.
Right.
So I think it's
Sure.
important that we don't say, well, you know, future proof means we don't get Spectrum.
Right.
It could be.
I'll make a note of that
Yeah.
we're most interested in a service that will meet the state definition of broadband, which is a 100 over
And
100.
and maybe it's wireless. Maybe there's a wireless solution. I don't know.
Yep.
But
I've talked to quite a few people who are not as enthusiastic about a fiber expansion and more interested in Starlink and more low Earth orbit satellite technology type of stuff.
Because the medium doesn't matter. It's
Sure.
the performance that matters.
Yep.
So whatever the medium is, and honestly, the internet doesn't care what the medium is.
No.
That's how this whole system's built.
Microwave or oven? What do you want?
Yeah. I mean, it literally doesn't matter. There's that bottom layer, that first layer of the model can be anything as long as a bit gets from one end to the other. Doesn't matter.
Totally agree with you.
So I think it's really important that we as a committee recognize that it's not fiber versus cable. It is dependable, two-directional high speed.
Yep.
With whatever the medium is. Because whatever medium we pick in 5 years, it's probably going to change, or 10 years. You know,
it definitely could.
Yeah, wireless is, you know, cellular service has gotten way, way better. The problem is coverage, because they don't want to put any towers in rural areas. But, you know, so yeah, we just need to be really careful that the medium doesn't matter.
Gotcha. I will, once I've got the survey put together, I will give you guys a link, because I plan on making a link and then also just making paper ones for election day. And then if you guys have any space on your social media or on the station to do a blurb, then much appreciated.
Is this something that you're looking to get just on election day, or are you trying to collect this information?
No, I think we're going to run it for I think I'd like to run it for about 6 weeks. I'll probably have it up in the next week, and then we'll really have like the blast on election day, just to capture as many people for free.
And where are these, where are the responses supposed to go?
I figured I'll either have a Survey Monkey up or Google Forms, and then I'll have a paper version that they can either bring back, or they'll have the link on the paper that they can then do it at home. Once we get the paper ones back, I'll just put it online, and that way we'll have everything condensed.
Once you've got that built, we can certainly put it on, we can certainly put out social media posts.
Cool. That'd be awesome.
And so we can do that. So we can help support it with that.
Yep. The only other update is I'm going to reach out to the Chamber of Commerce to see about impact with their membership with businesses and any other people that are involved, and also just spreading the word, that type of stuff.
Sounds good.
That, I think, is it for me. I'm going to hang tight and see if Andrea shows up in the next 5 minutes, and I'll keep her up to date. And that is what's happening.
Sounds good. I appreciate you pulling this together.
Yeah, definitely. I'm excited.
And you know where to find me.
Gotcha. All right, Jeff.
All right. Talk to you soon. Bye.
That way we can satisfy the minute requirement. Let's see. We went over. We didn't pick we didn't pick a chairperson, because that was Larry and Jeff were the only ones to show up. And just never heard back from Stephen. I thought he'd be here.
Oh, I did too.
Yep. We talked about the survey for about 10-15 minutes. I can give you do you have it pulled up on your computer?
Hold on.
Sure.
I did have it. Yes.
Cool. We so on the first couple pages, we were like, yep, everything looks good. And then we kind of talked about when you get down to the work from home options and the education options for if you have students, if we would expound on that. And I kind of just took some notes. Would you work if rather than just saying, do you work from home? Maybe, do you work from home full-time or on a hybrid part-time basis? Would
Yeah.
you work from home if you had better service? And then I was trying to think what there would be for a benefit to asking for the students question, to ask if they were in like the Great Salt Bay Lincoln Academy school system, or if they were going to other schools regionally.
Right.
And did your current service affect your student negatively during the pandemic and since then? Those
Mhm.
type of questions. If you've got any input on that, definitely would appreciate it. Any thoughts on that stuff?
Well, I think it's definitely important to find out, that we should be targeting where those students that attend schools that don't have cable.
Right.
Definitely.
Definitely. And hopefully we'll have a little bit more info on that when they come out with the feasibility study that they ordered, so we can see definitively who has no access to cable or fiber, so they
Okay.
qualify, and that will be good to know in the future. I figured on the next section we can put kind of the work/leisure categories of how you use your internet into basically a couple categories. Just put all of the social media, Netflix, and that type of stuff into sort of a quick question of
The one instead of breaking it down
yeah,
into all those other ones. Yeah,
6 or 7 questions, because they pretty
Yeah.
much all go together.
I agree. Keep it
Um,
small, keep it,
Yep.
limited. Yeah.
On there, are you satisfied? They only had a yes or a no, so I figured we'd put in a in between where, I would be happy with better, but this is what I have.
Okay.
Because it's hard to say, yeah, I'm super satisfied, or no, I think most people are indifferent or would like to see something better.
Well, there were a lot of comments.
Right. Yeah. For the please tell us why you
Mhm.
are or aren't. And I think we'll see. Yeah, like you said, I think we'll see most of the similar things where the speed isn't any good and it's too much money.
Right. That seems to be what I saw the most.
Yep.
Speed, buffering, all of that. And it's very expensive. And when I looked at the costs between, fiber optics and spectrum, it's a bit more.
Yep.
The question is, will people, it's sad that you have to have the fiber optics and the phone in order to have the fiber optic.
I completely agree with you. I think that that's solely part of the policy for Tidewater of what they're trying to do as a company, and I don't think it's a rule for the technology to work.
Right.
I think,
They
yeah,
just want that extra money to have the phone in the house.
that may be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to try and figure it out.
I know.
Let's see. The other thing I talked about with those two were there's basically 3 questions that the Connect Main grant wants each community to come up with, and it's, do you want to provide a universal service to everyone or fill in a pocket of the town? And I think we're pretty clear we want to have universal service so everybody's got the same access. The second question is, I'll have to look up exactly how they have it worded, but it's, do you want a future-proof service, or maybe it just refers to fiber optic? It might just be a different way of wording it, but refers to, do you strictly want fiber optic? You can take that if you need to.
Oh, I just declined. This one I have to take it.
Okay, go ahead.
Andrea.
That's perfectly fine. Right, so we were talking about future-proof service, and Jeff noted that, well, we shouldn't say whether we care what the technology is, as long as it fits the need. And I think we'll probably just vote on something that says the state definition of broadband now, that's just 100 down, 100 up symmetrical service. And if it's fiber, then it's fiber. Perfectly. Because I think the way the question they kind of posed it from the grant perspective was kind of ambiguous.
Okay.
And then the only other question was, do we want it to be a municipal owned system or a provider company owned system? And being that they've Tidewater has a pretty firmly established footprint. It didn't seem very likely that people were going to support a municipal system, though I do think it's got a lot more merits than people are giving it credit.
I would suspect that it does too. You
Yep.
know, if you can bundle things together and get a better price.
Absolutely. And control the prices for a longer term.
Exactly.
The other thing we talked about was, which I think I'll probably include on, they have a question on the Newcastle survey about, would you be interested in getting instruction or classes on
Yeah.
technology for devices? And I think it'll be interesting to see, because Jeff and Larry were kind of, they're pretty familiar with their tech, so they're not looking for these classes. And I was just telling them, well, they do a lot of adult ed stuff through those programs. They do stuff through libraries, like it is out there. But if you're not looking for it, you're not going to ever know it's there, in my opinion, for that type of stuff. So I think we'll definitely figure out what type of percentage of respondents will say they're interested in figuring out how to use more devices or better use the technology they already have. The only other thing we talked about was equity, and what are one of the programs that I want to see addressed, and this would possibly be a great thing with you in the schools. Do you know anything about the emergency broadband benefit?
No.
Through COVID. So I don't know if you got
these. Oh, yes, that's the one where if you don't have internet, then they will bring it in.
No, that's that was another thing that the state did. Let me, I'll re-put this in the chat because I don't know if you have access to it or not.
Okay.
So there's a toolkit with that I just sent the link to, and then there's also this that explains eligibility.
Okay.
So I didn't know if the state had started doing the free and reduced lunch yet, or whether that was next year.
I know that our children at school don't pay for lunch.
Gotcha.
Or breakfast. No one. So it's available to, they don't even bother to figure out if you're poor or not. Everyone.
That's
here. Yeah.
That is a great thing. I'm glad to hear it. It's less helpful for this situation, because anybody that gets free or reduced lunch, their family qualifies for the emergency broadband benefit.
Oh, good.
So I don't know how we go about that, advertising that, because you should still be able to fit a criteria, and then that would help get this. So good that the kids are fed, but wish we had the paperwork to be like, okay, well, you can still get help with your broadband.
Right.
So on that second link I sent you, the broadband benefit, if you have at or below 135% of the poverty level, or participate in SNAP, Medicaid, or the Lifeline service, which is kind of married to this, free and reduced lunch, any college students that got Pell Grants qualify for it. And anybody that experiences substantial loss of income and is below 99,000 for singles and 198,000 for joint filers. So that's just about everybody, for the most part. And the broadband benefit is good for $50 a month off your broadband bill, and the program's going until the money runs out.
Wow.
So we recently signed my mother up, and they first opened the applications in June or July. And by the time the companies were ready to start processing the paperwork, the applications had expired because they had a 90-day window. So I don't think enough people are taking advantage of it, because people might be perfectly on their feet now, but if you qualified then you qualify for this program until it runs out effectively. So I'm going to be printing out that literature. That goes in with the other thing I was going to say is that I plan on being out on election day in Damariscotta to advertise the surveys, advertise the emergency broadband benefit, and to get people to do the speed test. I'm going to be there from at least before the polls open until about 2 p.m. is my plan, and then I have to take off. So if you have any time that day,
let's
do it. Check it out. I think it's November 2nd.
November 2nd. Okay, just a sec. No, I have no meetings, nothing. It's amazing.
That'd be wild. Yeah, like I said, I think I have a class in Portland that evening at like 3:30 in the afternoon. So I've got to take off about 2. So if you or Steven or Alan or Al have any interest in manning a table for a few hours that evening, that would be
And this
pretty
is at the
fantastic.
town hall, right?
Yep. I
Okay.
talked to Matt, and apparently they have a bunch of people that set up outdoors, and
Oh, okay.
yeah, there'll be
So you have set up the table and I just can come in at like,
that would be cool. That would be fantastic.
okay,
And if we need to, if you get out of school at like 2:45 or whatever,
yeah.
I can see about trying to make that work and show up 20 minutes late or something.
No, you don't want to be late to your class.
Oh, I know. So that's what I'm planning. Once I get the survey put together, whether it's on SurveyMonkey or on Google Forms, I'll have the link to do it. And then I'll also have hard copies for the polls, just to grab people that will also have a link on it, so they can either hand it to us, give it back, or bring it back at a later date, or do it at home.
Okay,
And I figured once we get the paper results, I'll input them onto whatever the online survey, and then we'll have it all digitized and ready just to look at and discuss.
oh, that'd be great.
And that's just kind of the whole reason for this, is it's a prereq for pretty much any grant consideration, just to get a good feeling of what we're dealing with. And it's good to know too. So let me think if there's anything else to go over. I'm going to put this copy of this meeting on YouTube too, so you can watch back the part before you were here, but I think I covered
Everything.
just about everything. Oh, and the update I'll give you with the Connect Main grant is, I believe that they've opened up their next round of infrastructure grants, and I think it starts November 24th. And then the deadline, I think, is January 31st.
Okay,
So my plan is to organize a meeting with myself, Mary Ellen Barnes from Lincoln County Planning, and Krista Thorpe from Island Institute, and then at least the town managers, I think, and anybody else who wants to come and speak with the Tidewater people, Alan and the Mannings, or either way, and see how they feel about what they need to put together a successful grant application, and what we need to do to, what we can all do to combine forces to get it done, and
Right.
hopefully put together a good grant application and bury it. That's what I'm in the business and the excitement of. Because they've got plans that from there, I'm sure we talked about this before, but they've got plans to do expansion, I think, either way. So it would be good just to fill in the holes and be done with it.
yes, yeah,
The one thing that I didn't mention to those guys, oh, well, I've been up the last 2 days. I've been to all of the houses along Egypt Road and all of the lake roads to have them do speed tests. Before I started, I think just collectively from the speed test making its way on the internet, we only had 29, and now we've got, it's over 130 now.
oh, that's great.
So definitely people are coming in, and that's what I told them. I'll redo the number. The state definition is 5010 that we always talk about, 10 megabits upload speed, and we have 54% of the respondents that took the speed test have an upload speed below 10 megabits.
Whoa.
Which is that this will be the first grant application that they've used that new definition that they just changed the rules to. So it's going to be really interesting how they evaluate, because before it was, if you have cable, then you qualify as that you're served. But now that the definition's a little bit higher, having cable isn't necessarily a prereq to being served. You could have cable and, in my opinion, definitely qualify as unserved, because there's plenty of examples where they haven't met that. And that can be fine. Let me see if I can, I don't know if I copy this link and it'll go to you, but I'll put it in the chat.
Okay.
And it's a pretty good handy little map. I check it once or twice a week, and after I go out and service some roads. So I've done pretty much the entire east side of town, Lesnar Road, Egypt Road, and then I just did Back Meadow and Standpipe yesterday. So we've got we're up to 137, 134 fixed locations now, which is pretty crazy. And our participation of households is 12%. So that's pretty good. And just been telling people we're doing the survey. We'll be out on election day, and kind of all we're working on. So far, so good.
I like it.
Good, good, good. So yeah, the only other thing I was going to say from your perspective from schools, if there's anything that's being, if there was possibility, we could get Damariscotta kids handouts to do the survey, or put it in a community newsletter, and also advertise the emergency broadband benefit if there's any way that we can put that information into the school's hands.
Well, it seems like we could put it on our website in our newsletter.
Definitely. I'll have to, I'm going to reach out to somebody about the free and reduced lunch thing, because if obviously you guys are feeding everybody, there's probably no applicants. So there's no record of who should be getting it.
Normally there is before
Right.
COVID, absolutely. But you know, since COVID, they just blanketed everyone. Yeah.
Gotcha. I'm going to reach out to somebody, and then I'm going to actually spend a little bit more time on that, just so that we can get more of the community helped out, because there's no reason why people shouldn't be taking advantage of it while it is here.
Mm-hmm.
From what I can tell, it runs out when the money runs out, so there's no fixed expiration date on it.
Okay.
And yeah, any other questions? I think I talked to Adam and Al, who have kind of been the least participating people. Al had a hard time just getting here during the day, which seems to, not my preference, but seems to be the theme of when people are trying to get these meetings done. And I think Adam has stepped down just because he didn't want to waste time and feel like he's getting in the way when he didn't really have enough time to commit.
Yeah.
So there's still the core group of 5. Jeff Kachakian and Larry Seidlinger, that are both at LCTV, and then Al Todino and Stephen Wicks. And I'll send the YouTube link after we're done this, and a couple other links. And if anybody thinks of anything else as far as the surveys and reaching people about equity and classes, we will publicize that a little bit.
Okay.
That's what we're up to.
All right. And you're going to have like all the handouts and stuff on the table.
Yep.
For people. Okay.
Yep. We'll be ready to go. And I'll see about having enough paper copies of the survey so people could take them home and do them on paper, or if they just do them online, we'll see.
Yeah, it would be really better just to give them the link.
I know.
Or,
I know.
You know, if we have our computers there, we can
I'll try and just saturate them so we can, I'll give them a QR code, I'll give them the link, I'll give them the paper one, and try and coax them into filling it out right there before they leave. And having conversations with people and just get the word out. Because from the people I talked to in the last 2 days on Standpipe and Back Meadow Road, people are really excited about the possibility of improvements, and definitely mixed reactions on which provider they'd rather have.
Mm-hmm.
But I think everybody will be happier with more options. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, you always think that with more options you'll have more competition and the price will go down.
That's what we're gonna hope. That's what we're gonna hope, that they don't collude, and there's good competition. And I'll leave you with the only other I skipped over this a second ago. I was gonna say this. A few of the side roads have buried utilities. And obviously both cable and fiber DSL, everybody would prefer to have conduit, so they don't just have to do direct burial of lines. And there's a few roads that either have conduit in sections or conduit at the end of the road. Shamrock is one, Nissen Farm is one, and I think White Oak Ledge Road, or it's something like that. They have problems. So I think on Tidewater's literature, when they did Bremen or Hope or Appleton, they had some notes on what they would charge per foot to go underground and these types of things, because I think a lot of the cost is for them that they're saving is they're already attaching the line to their phone line that already exists.
Right.
So to go to these new places, they have to pull the cable through. So it's, or if there's no, they obviously don't want to direct bury it at all, just because then somebody will come through, dig a hole, and then cut the, my cousin just did that with an underground fence for a dog, and the guys came and then they cut the internet off and they didn't have internet for a week. That was,
Oh, no.
that was like right at the beginning of the pandemic times. And yeah, so that's obviously why people would prefer to have conduit. So there's less chance of it getting cut and broken. So that's something that we need to definitely address when we get further down the pike, is telling those people what they should be looking forward to do, because in the case of Nissen Farm, there's like 18 or 20 lots and only like 5 of them have houses on it, but they're building. There's already 2 under construction on that road, and anywhere else that's got mixed situations with whether they have conduit definitely should talk to their neighbors and get invested on coming together and finishing the conduit throughout the neighborhood.
Yes.
But that's just something that we'll definitely be addressing later.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, if you have anything else, I think we're all set.
I think I'm all set.
Nice. This might have been longer than the first time we talked about it, just given the summary, which is funny. Awesome, Andrea. Well, thanks for showing up.
Okay.
And we'll
thank you so much for waiting for me.
Oh no, absolutely. I figured you'd show up. So awesome. I'll put this on the YouTube link and blast a couple other things in an email.
Oh, perfect. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Talk to you soon.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye.